Chapter 5, Bully. The air outside was strangely still. The dark clouds still hovered in the distance. "Storm's coming," said Will. "We have to eat quickly before it starts to rain," said Kate. She and Will sat down on the grass. Annie and Jack sat beside them. Will opened a small burlap sack. He took out 4 lumpy objects. They looked like dark rocks. "Hey, there's one for each of us in here," said Kate. "One what?" asked Annie, frowning. "Sweet potato," said Will. He gave a potato each to Kate, Annie, and Jack. No thanks," said Jack, trying to give his back. "We don't want to take your lunch." "We have enough. Keep it," said Kate. "What do you do with it?" asked Annie, holding up her potato. Kate laughed. "Just bite," she said, "like this." Kate and Will bit into their cold, sweet potatoes as if they were apples. "Cool," said Annie. She took a big bite of her potato, too. But Jack held on to his. He didn't quite feel like eating the cold brown potato. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Jeb sitting by himself. The big kid didn't seem to have lunch at all. Jack thought he'd try to be friends one more time. "Hey, Jeb," he called out. "I'm not hungry. You want my sweet potato?" Here, they're sitting in the grass. Jeb's kind of sitting all by himself. Sad. Jeb gave Jack a mean look. "I could have brought my own lunch if I wanted to eat," he said. "Oh, sure," said Jack. Jeb narrowed his eyes. "You making fun again?" he said. "I'm warning you. Do that one more time and I'll fight you." Jack couldn't believe it. This kid took everything he said the wrong way. "Hey," Annie said, "leave my brother alone. You're nothing but a bully, Jeb." "Annie, stay out of this," said Jack. But Jeb just laughed. Then he stood up and walked back into the schoolhouse. Jack felt angry. He hoped they would find the special writing soon, so they could leave. Will seemed to have read Jack's mind. "Don't worry about him," Will said to Jack. "He's never been to school before." So he's embarrassed?" said Annie. "Why hasn't he been to school?" said Jack. "Because he has to work in the fields all the time," said Annie. "I heard him tell Miss Neely he walked 5 miles to get here today," Kate said. "So he must have really wanted to come." "Wow," said Annie. "How far did you and Will walk?" "Only 2, said Kate. "2 what?" asked Annie. "Miles," said Kate. 2 miles? Jack repeated. The Prairie kids nodded. "It must be lonely living out here," Annie said. Will and Kate nodded again. "Do you live in a sod house?" Jack asked. "We used to," said Will, "but it was always dirty, so our pa built us a log cabin." "He cut trees near the creek," said Kate. Then he made the cabin by hand. Before Annie or Jack could ask another question, thunder cracked in the sky. Then rain started to fall. It fell fast and hard. Everyone jumped up. Come in," Miss Neely called from the doorway. They ran back inside. The wind slammed the door behind them with a bang. Chapter 6, Grasshopper Attack. Inside the lamp-lit hut, it was dry and cozy. Jack sat back on his bench. He didn't dare look at Jeb. "It's time for our writing lesson now," Miss Neely said. "I'm going to give you each a slate and a pen." She handed out the slates. They looked like small blackboards set in wooden frames. Next, she gave everyone a slate pen. Each pen was a thin piece of chalk. Miss Neely opened the McGuffey reader. "Well, you were eating your noon meal. I copied a poem from the book," she said. "Now I want you to copy it." Miss Neely held her own slate board up for all of them to see. "'Tis a lesson you should need. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again." Jack quickly started copying the words. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Jeb writing very slowly. It took the older boy a long time just to write the letter T. Jack slowed down too. He didn't want Jeb to think he was showing off. Suddenly, loud thumping sounds came from overhead. You can see her with her slab pieces of chalk. It's kind of like when we use our Chromebooks, right? It sounded as if someone were throwing stones against the roof. "Oh no, grasshopper attack!" screamed Kate. She covered her head. "Grasshopper attack?" cried Will. He covered his head too. "Be calm, everyone," said Miss Neely. "What's a grasshopper attack? What are they talking about?" Jack wondered. Even Jeb seemed worried. As Miss Neely started towards the door, he said, "Don't open it. They'll come in." Has everyone gone crazy? Jack thought. How can grasshoppers hurt anyone? Miss Neely opened the door and looked out. A moment later, she stuck her head back in and closed the door. "It's all right," she said. "It's only hailstones." "What's that?" said Annie. Hailstones are small pieces of frozen rain. Sometimes they fall to earth during a thunderstorm, said Miss Neely. Why did Will and Kate yell grasshopper attack? Jack asked. Because last spring grasshoppers did attack us, said Miss Neely. Yes, millions and millions of them came out of the sky, said Will. It looked like a huge, shiny cloud. They covered every inch of ground, said Kate. They ate everything. They ate all our crops, said Will. Our turnips and fruit trees and watermelons. They even ate our clothes and bed sheets, said Kate. Yuck, said Annie. Oh, man, said Jack. He'd never heard of a grasshopper attack before. It was very scary, said Kate. But remember how we were planted and everyone helped everyone else, said Miss Neely. Will and Kate nodded. He must try to hold on to the good memories, Miss Neely said gently, and let go of the bad ones. Yes, ma'am, said Kate. Everyone was quiet for a moment. Then the sound of hailstones died away. Let's go back to our lesson now, said Miss Neely. They all returned to their writing. Even working as slowly as he could, Jack finished first. He showed his copy of the poem to Miss Neely. Good work, Jack, she said. We can all learn from these words, can't we? Yes, ma'am, said Jack. Hey, this is it, Jack, Annie blurted out. Something to learn. Miss Neely looked puzzled. But Jack smiled. He knew that Annie was talking about. They had their special writing. They could go home. Jack stood up. Excuse me, ma'am, but I'm afraid we have to leave, he said. So soon, said Miss Neely. Yes, we have to go back to our parents, said Annie. May I take my slate with us, Jack asked. Please do, said Miss Neely. Use it on your trip to California to practice your writing. Thanks, said Jack with a big smile. He put the slate in his leather bag. We learned a lot, ma'am. I'm glad you had a chance to come to school, said Miss Neely. Goodbye and good luck. Good luck to you too, said Annie. Bye, Will and Kate called out. Bye, said Jack and Annie. As they went out the door, Jack glanced at Jeb. He felt sorry for the older boy. He tried one last time to be friends. Bye, Jeb, he said. But the boy wouldn't even look at him. Jack gently closed the door to the schoolhouse. He breathed a sigh of relief. He was glad to get away from Jeb's anger. That's weird, said Annie. Look at the sky. As Jack turned away from the schoolhouse door, he caught his breath. The sky did look weird. Really weird. What do you think's going to happen next? The title of the chapter of the next chapter is Twister. Woo! I can't wait to find out. Until next time.